Hello and welcome back to this podcast that doesn't really exist. It is me, Jayleth, with my homie Butts. How are you doing today?
What's up? I'm doing good.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of news lately, but one of the craziest things is Sony took down Concord after 2 weeks.
It was wild.
I don't remember. Did you play the beta when it was out?
I did, yes.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was generic, but I don't really think generic in a bad way. It felt fun to play. The main thing I really wanted from it was gyro aim, and it didn't have that. But I mean, I kind of was expecting it, to be honest with you. But it was fine. It definitely gave me a little bit of a one more game type of itch, which I think is pretty solid for an online multiplayer game. I think that's really good to have. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was fine.
Yeah,
I think it was bad.
I think you liked it more than I did because when I played it, I thought there were some very fundamental issues with it. So I think that the movement was really weird because movement seemed like it was supposed to be a big emphasis for the game because every character had some sort of a movement option, like another jump, a dodge, roll, or something like that. But every character felt very slow except for 2 or 3. And that is just, to me, moving slow in an FPS is almost criminal. They move so slow and the jumps had very little horizontal movement to them. So it was very easy to get caught on the geometry of the maps and stuff. But maybe that's something I have to get used to. But when I was playing it, I thought it was really annoying. And then the characters were, I mean, it's everybody said it by now, but I don't know, the characters' designs, and they weren't super interesting. Even their gameplay design, I didn't think was super great either. Most of the characters I thought were fairly boring or similar to something I'd already played in Overwatch. But my favorite character to play as was probably the Asian chick. I don't remember what her name was. But
Oh, the one that flies?
yeah, she could kind of glide around, and she had
I think her name was Haymar. I might be wrong though.
Yeah, she had a crossbow thing, except it shot balls. And then her whole thing was setting the map on fire. She was the most fun character to me, and she was also kind of broken. But
I only really played the soldier guy. I forgot his name.
Everybody did.
Yeah, everyone did. Because he was kind of the vanilla kid. So
yeah, he was almost exactly like Soldier 76.
I will say though, it's actually kind of weird. I kind of like the character designs.
Really?
There was some yeah. There was some character designs I didn't like. Mainly the guy that was had this super puffy jacket, the blue guy, and the quick character, I forgot her name, but the one with the tail and stuff. I don't know. Some of the character designs I thought was kind of cool. The pink agent, I thought she was kind of cool, and the mushroom lady.
That's wild. I think you are the only person I've ever heard say that the character designs were pretty good.
I liked it. Yeah, I whenever I saw people say the characters are good, I don't know, I kind of liked it. They were colorful. They were interesting. I
don't know, man.
Some of them are definitely. Some of them that one clear Apex Legends seer character, you know how I'm talking about, the black guy with the brim hat on and everything, the fedora hat. That guy looks exactly like Seer. So there was definitely some characters. There was definitely some character designs. I'm it could be better, but I mean there was some cool character designs too.
That's the really weird thing is I feel like so many of them, I feel even aesthetically some of the characters are rip-offs. Even the Asian chick I was just saying, she looks almost exactly like a character from Rogue Company, which is another free-to-play shooting game, but it's third person. But she looks just like the main character from that. It's like an Asian woman who has like that short kind of hair. It's just like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's definitely some like not so good character designs in the game.
And it's especially surprising considering like they're ex Bungie devs, a lot of them. And I think Bungie has some of the best art design in the game industry just in general.
They probably have mostly like game designers rather than artists. I feel like.
And animators too, probably, yeah.
Yeah, animators, yeah. But I mean, actually, this could be to the next topic. If Sony decides to keep them, you know, they could definitely hire some more like unique animators and concept artists and stuff. Because I remember we were talking about it, and you said that, you know, most of their game's problems was aesthetics, and you feel like if they were to keep it, you know, they can change it and stuff. And I think if it really is just mostly just aesthetics, that's something they can change.
Yeah, I do think like most of what people complain about with that game is aesthetics, and I mean there's some gameplay issues too, like how some of the modes worked. I think it was the ranked mode or something like that. There was some weird.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, a weird way they handled scoring. Like, I feel like so many of the issues are just such easy fixes that you could probably relaunch in another year or two, because in their statement they said that they were taking the game offline, and they had something like future considerations or something like that. So they didn't outright say that Concord is dead and that they're never bringing it back. I just imagine like at some point they're going to. I don't know, like. Sony spent so much money buying the IP, buying the studio, and they clearly believed in it. For what reason, I have no idea. I mean, Jim Ryan is like obsessed with the free-to-play stuff, and I get it, but
it's actually interesting too, because it wasn't just Jim Ryan; it was also Herman Hulst that played it and liked it too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Both past president and, you know, current like CEO, like they clearly see something with this game.
I just wonder what that is. I mean, because I mean, the pitch sounds good, right? Former Bungie devs, sci-fi FPS, not free to play, but you know, live service game. That sounds like that should be really good, but for whatever reason, this game just didn't like land. I wonder like what level it was where they were like deciding a lot of these choices. And people say that they really dislike the general aesthetic of the game, like the UI and color scheme and stuff. But I actually really like it. It's kind of like that. Yeah, I thought it was like old, kind of NASA design stuff. Like
whenever I saw the UI, I specifically thought of Wipeout. What was it called? I think Wipeout 2097. Might be wrong on that one, but like the UI really reminded me of like the old Wipeout games with how it was colored and the aesthetics of it.
Yeah, I haven't played Wipeout, so I can't really say. But yeah, I mean, I liked it. I thought it was kind of cool. I really liked the visual aesthetic and everything. It's just, I don't know. And then the story as well was a weird idea, because I think that they thought they were cooking, honestly, because their thing was, oh, you know, we've got all these characters that are interesting, and we have this world we've built, and we know people were disappointed with Overwatch's lack of story mode, and we don't want to make a story mode. Instead, we'll just make vignettes every week. And I think that was kind of a good idea, but the difference between Overwatch and Concord is Overwatch, like, you can look at Overwatch character. I mean, I don't play that game anymore, but like, I can't deny even like some of the new Overwatch characters visually look great and are just inherently interesting by the way they're animated. Like, their designs kind of tell a lot about the characters. Like, you look at Diva, And you can kind of tell, okay, she likes video games. She has like some sort of a fan base. Maybe she's a pop star, or maybe she's a celebrity of some sort. Like, and she's in a mech, so she's obviously like technologically intelligent. She works on her mech. Like, you can kind of infer some of the things about Diva just from looking at her in her animations. You can't really say the same thing about Concord. And then, like, Overwatch also had their short videos leading up to the release of the game that gave just a taste of the backstory. Like, they, essentially what I'm saying is they earned the interest in the characters through multiple different ways. Concord had one story trailer, and then that's it. Well, that's not true, actually. Yeah,
okay.
they did have those character trailers. I do remember that.
Yeah.
I didn't watch them, but they did have them.
But also, I mean, I think this is what the vignettes were supposed to be doing. And, like PlayStation clearly had, like, such a way of laying this whole thing out. But just the reception of it was just so bad that they just had to cut it short. I remember there was an episode, or not an episode, but I forgot what the show was called, but you might know it. It was like this Amazon, I think, show that PlayStation was like working on.
Yeah, I forgot what it's called, but yeah, Amazon has that show that's coming out with a bunch of different video game like snippets on it.
Characters. Yeah, and Concord was part of that. And like they had this, like they clearly had some type of like rollout for this thing, but they just decided to cut it short.
No, I mean, absolutely. I don't think that PlayStation necessarily did a bad job in terms of doing everything they could to generate interest in Concord. Like, they obviously had like a long-term plan, especially if they're going to release videos every single week. It's just unfortunately like what the product was didn't speak to the market, and the market decided they didn't like it.
It caught the bad gaming zeitgeist, as I would like to say.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's true. It did. It got into the like bad cultural gaming zeitgeist, and then you've got like the people that are like, oh, they put the pronouns in there. It's like, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's kind of cringe, but like that's far away from like what's like bad about this game. Like, this game has way too many other issues.
Yeah, it actually kind of, to go back to Overwatch, I'm thinking about the characters more. I think it was interesting because, like, you mentioned Diva, but also a lot of the characters in Overwatch, like, everything meshes really well with the Overwatch characters. Like, for example, I know everyone says it a lot, but, like, Tracer and her whole, like, gimmick of rewinding time and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, the same thing could be kind of said for Diva with, you know, her whole gameplay gimmick of, you know, you can hop out of your mech and shoot with your pistol and stuff.
Yeah.
You're a lot more faster and stuff. I don't think that Concord necessarily had something like that.
Yeah, because like I don't think they tried hard enough to make the characters unique enough gameplay experiences. Like, when you play Overwatch, every character plays completely differently. Even if somebody might have an SMG and another person might also have an SMG, their skills and their ultimate kind of come into play to like change how they play, or, you know, movement, like with Tracer and her, like, you know, dashing or whatever. But in Concord, even something like as simple as like your grenades, some people shared types of grenades. It's like, if this is going to be a class-based game, like, you've got to do a bit more than that. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I mentioned it earlier, but Rogue Company, that game, characters can have the same kinds of grenades and melee weapons as each other, but their skills are different enough to where they warrant playing the different characters. Like, one character may have a melee attack that's a punch, but there's another character that has the same punch, but her gimmick is like setting things on fire, so her punch will, you know, do fire damage on top, like damage over time on top of, you know, just a normal melee. And like, I don't know, like, just, to me, there are so many small basic things that should have been obvious in terms of like the design of this game that they just missed for one reason or another.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that for sure. And also the game modes too. I think. Well, okay. So I guess just disclaimer. The only real shooter I really like, am super like into is Splatoon. But I feel like the game mode is like very like important as well when it comes to like the way you have character kits and like weapons and stuff. And I feel like the game modes, like to be honest with you, it just didn't really feel like there was anything that was, I guess, unique. I guess the way to say it. Like this is clearly supposed to be like a team-based like hero shooter, right? But like you're going around like the game modes that they have right now for like the casual playlist or whatever is like kill confirm and like was it just regular TDM? I'm pretty sure.
I don't think they had a
And like
regular TDM. They had like kill confirmed and then like some other scoring based thing. I don't remember. And they had also like the um not search and destroy, but you know that like Overwatch mode where you have to move the payload or whatever, like that.
yeah, yeah. But I I guess my thing is for I guess the casual mode or I guess in a casual mode since it's not being ranked. Like you're kind of on your like running around on your own. You're not really working as a team. Like you're just kind of going in, doing whatever. And I think that kind of mode and just design like way of thinking isn't like really fit for, I guess, a hero shooter. Like you're supposed to be like working towards objectives and stuff, and it's not very objective based. You can just kind of go off and do whatever, and then wait until like seemingly 5 minutes later the match ends.
Yeah, that's super true. I thought the same thing when I was playing it. Like, you have kill confirmed. Like, that's not exactly a team based thing. It seemed like they wanted you to have a very casual experience until you played ranked, where it was like an elimination thing, and then your character, if you won with the character,
you have to get rid of it.
yeah, I think it was if you won and lost. It was like regardless, your character's just gone, and it's just like what the fuck.
Yeah.
I know some there are some modes that do that, but for that to be your only ranked mode, it's kind of weird.
Yeah. I just feel like the modes were definitely like something that they should have brought something new to the table. If like, I kind of understand why you would probably want to have the characters like that was designed the way they are because they can become a lot more flexible in like future modes or updates or whatever. And I think like it makes me think of something like Apex where they have to basically redesign the entire like character roster because they're trying to like move Apex to have a lot more different modes instead of just the battle royale mode. You can do like the TDM mode in Apex as well.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're trying to shift the game to be something more. This is kind of a bit of what Valorant is trying to do as well. They have like the whole bomb fusel thing. I can't remember what it's called. The main mode.
Yeah.
And then they have like TDM and stuff.
So what do you think is gonna happen to Concord?
Man, I think okay. Either A, the studio gets shut down and Concord ceases to exist, it becomes lost media. B, Concord comes back, it's probably like has like a whole different art style and Sony just decides to just be like, screw it, we're gonna bankroll it, we're gonna make this work. Or C, it becomes free to play whenever it comes back. Or if it comes back, it becomes free to play has just a whole different new like way of monetization, and that's it.
Yeah, I think what will happen will be a combination of what you said, A and B. I mean, B and C. I think that they'll probably take it offline, work on it for maybe because Fair Games is supposed to be coming out next year. I don't know. Maybe they look at what happened with Concord and they decide to delay that as well and make sure that it's not cringe. Because I mean, we could talk about that too. Because like that trailer dropped for Fair Games, and a lot of people hated it. It had like a lot of Ubisoft like stank on it because
Oh yeah, it definitely did.
yeah, that game is also ex devs of Ubisoft. So when I saw the trailer, I thought it looked like a weird like new. It looked like a Watch Dogs game. I mean, I can't say it looked like because they didn't show any gameplay, but like I guess the aesthetic, like, cause how they're so obsessed with DedSec now, and how DedSec is a bunch of goofy teenager kids. Like it looked like a new Watch Dogs game just being made by Sony, which I'm not really crazy about Watch Dogs direction, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's so unfortunate.
I mean, as far as like Fair Games, I feel like I think it might end up having the whole issue of like of aesthetics that Concord's having, which is like people don't really like the aesthetics of it. But I will say I think Fair Games is, I believe, supposed to be kind of similar to like Payday, and there isn't really that many like Payday-esque type of games out there. So I think gameplay wise it could be fine, but we haven't seen gameplay, so I can't really say that. I'm just kind of spitballing, thinking that it might be something similar to that.
I don't know. Because when I think FPS, and because I think it is supposed to be an FPS, but when I think FPS and Ubisoft, I think of like Far Cry, and I love Far Cry 3. I think Far Cry 4 is really good. I haven't played the rest of them, but I mean, I really enjoy those games, but I don't think that shooting is like the best part of those games. And if it's going to be a free to play or whatever live service game, one thing you have to absolutely nail on top of the aesthetics, the appeal, blah blah blah, is like the gameplay. That gameplay loop has to be very good, otherwise nobody's gonna want to spend their time playing it. And if it's like Far Cry gameplay and then like some Eat the Rich whatever else it was saying in the trailer, that kind of like aesthetic, I don't know. Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely agree with it. That's why, like, whenever I play Concord, even with the controls, I'm not really liking because it wasn't gyro aim. It still gave me that one more game itch. So I mean, if it does come back, and it has like a nice aesthetic, I mean, I can see people playing. Maybe not a lot, but I can see some people, the people that do play will have that whole one more game type of itch. I think whenever you have that one more game, like itch is like when you have something for a live service game, because that's like incredibly important. You want to have that gameplay loop to be very, very good for people to keep coming back to over and over again.
For sure, yeah, absolutely. And I guess one other thing I wanted to talk about that somewhat pertains to this is what do you think? Do you know too much about the whole Last of Us Online thing?
Yes, I know. I guess I know a bit about it. I'm not. What question are you trying to ask?
Well, I guess I was gonna say, like, what do you think now? Like, so they had said that basically what happened was they were working on the game, and it was
canceled.
Yeah, well, it was originally going to be a Last of Us 2 side mode, like the first Last of Us game. And then they just really believed in the project and decided to spin it out to its own full game. And it was coming along well, and it was supposed to be announced at the very least, I think, this year. Like, you were supposed to see official, like, footage of the game, I think, this year. But then they had Bungie come in and look at the game. Yeah, and then they were like, bro.
Nah.
Yeah, they're like, bro, this lacks stickiness. This isn't really going to you have to figure out like how to. I think they were saying they had to figure out how to like retain the player base. And I'm just sitting here thinking, dude, did you guys not play The Last of Us 1's multiplayer? Even if it's literally just The Last of Us 2's combat in a PvP scenario, that sounds amazing. Like, I'm not the biggest Last of Us 2 fan, but the gameplay in that game is fucking great. Like, I don't know. I wonder what they were missing, and also they were, when they canceled it, they said that like they didn't realize the amount of effort, I guess. Yeah, the amount of resources they had to put in to like support a game like that. And I'm like, how the hell do you not know what kind of it's a multiplayer game that's live service. Like, how of course you're gonna have to like make another studio or something. Like,
I mean, to be fair, like that's not Naughty Dog's been majority, like most of like their entire, I guess, business in games have been single player games. Like, yes, they did do like Uncharted, 2, 3, and 4 multiplayer,
and The Last of
4
Us
in particular, and The Last of Us, and 4 in particular was probably like the most like live service. I put this in heavy quotation marks. Live service, multiplayer, but that's not. And I think the main reason why they kind of canceled, because I mean, just to like say this, if The Last of Us multiplayer or like the online game came out, it would have been a huge success. Like, I'm just saying,
yes.
I know that would have. Oh yeah, that absolutely would have blown up. But I think it was mostly because they were kind of at a crossroads of like, okay, we can either focus more on single player games and like potential new IPs that could blow up and stuff, and we won't be stuck doing The Last of Us forever, or we can do this Last of Us online thing, and that might just kind of be it. And I mean, it sounds dramatic, but it's absolutely like a thing. I think of specifically Mediatonic. Mediatonic made Murder by Numbers, and then they made Fall Guys, and that's it. The moment like Fall Guys kind of blew up, like that's all they've ever been doing. They got acquired by Epic Games, and they still only do like Fall Guys stuff. And it's like, it's a very real thing. Like, I mean, actually another example would be probably Respawn. They've made obviously Titanfall and Titanfall 2. Then they made Apex Legends, and now they're just stuck doing Apex Legend things.
Okay, hold on. I think there are like quite a few like important details that make these situations all very different. Like, I think first off, Naughty Dog has been owned by Sony for years, versus Mediatonic, who got purchased by Epic after they made Fall Guys. And if I remember correctly, Respawn, they were purchased by EA like, I don't know, that was after Titanfall 1 came out, I think. But you say that they haven't made anything other than Apex, but they make those Star Wars Fallen Order games.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
My fault. I was unaware of this information. I was unaware of this information.
Yeah, they make those Star Wars games on top of Apex. And then Mediatonic, I mean, that's true. They are only working on Fall Guys right now. But that game came out and it was a big success. And it's been out for, well, it came out in 2020 or 2021, something like that?
2020.
Okay, so that is 4 years. But, I mean, I don't know. If you have like a cash cow, I might as well keep milking it. And we don't know that they aren't necessarily working on something on the side right now. It's possible. But I think ultimately that does kind of come down to just being owned by Epic. Like, live service is what they are all about right now. And I think that would never happen to Naughty Dog. I could be just naive, but I don't think so. I think Naughty Dog has had so many successful single player games that have come out. There's no reason to pigeonhole them into just multiplayer, especially when big single player experiences literally is all Sony cares about right now. Like that, I don't see like a future where they would make Naughty Dog only make multiplayer if The Last of Us Online was that big of a hit. I think if The Last of Us Online came out, it would be a big hit. And then Naughty Dog would just expand. And I know that's kind of like the reason why they didn't do that. Traditionally, Naughty Dog was like one team making, focusing on their one game until like The Last of Us started being in development, and then they started having 2 teams until after, I believe after Uncharted 4 came out, they kind of put them back together to make The Last of Us 2. And now I don't know. I think there's rumors that they're making a new IP on top of The Last of Us 3. I don't know. I don't remember. But I don't know. I think like I don't think that would ever happen to Naughty Dog, especially. Like they would for sure still be making, because they've made some of their most successful IP, like Uncharted and The Last of Us are fucking huge. And they made shit, they made Jak and Daxter, right? Yeah. Yeah, Jak and Daxter was huge. It's not the same people necessarily making those games now, but I mean that is still a part of their history. And also, like you named like a bunch of, like you were saying, like, oh well, you know, they've only made Uncharted 2, 3, 4, The Last of Us multiplayer. That's 4 successful multiplayer games that they've put out, and like
that is true, but okay, that is true, and like okay, those were back in like the 2000s. Like it was like the current like wave of multiplayer games isn't the same as how it was back then. Like sure. Yes, I did name like a bunch of them, but okay. Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3 multiplayer was kind of during the age of like Modern Warfare 2 and like Black Ops and Black Ops 2.
Well, I get what you're saying. Like the monetization, especially of how multiplayer games is handled, is completely different now. That's true. Yeah. But I also think because they have had multiple successful multiplayer games, wouldn't you think that Sony would be able to trust them well enough to be able to handle this new quote unquote era of multiplayer? Like, I don't see why they wouldn't have given them the chance versus like Concord. Granted, you know, they are ex-devs that have worked on successful games, but they as a team haven't done anything. And it's like they let them complete their whole game with a monetization scheme that I don't even think was necessarily that sound either. Like, they put out a game that you had to spend $40 on. There was no battle pass. You could only spend money on cosmetics, and the cosmetics were shit. I mean, even if you like the character designs,
I think there was a battle pass.
No, they said there was no battle pass. If I remember correctly, they said that like the only thing you were spending money on was skins. At least there wasn't a battle pass like at launch. I think maybe they were gonna do it later, but yeah. And then even if you like the designs of those characters, like the alternate costume pieces or whatever were just color changes, and it's like I'm not gonna spend money on that. I don't know. To me, it's like, dude, you do The Last of Us online, have a battle pass, maybe on top of that have like some co-op missions. That's something that Halo 4 did a long time ago that I thought was, I mean, the execution wasn't like amazing, but I like that there was like, you had your online multiplayer and then you had this series of co-op missions that told the story as well. So that even if you aren't necessarily going to hop on and, you know, play some games every once in a while, you can still get that Naughty Dog feel of a narrative with characters that you can enjoy and play some co-op, you know, with your friends and update the story and blah, blah, blah. I think that's also a good alternative they could have done with Concord, but I don't know. I think like, and then like seeing everything happening with Bungie right now, Bungie being the ones to put the nail in the coffin for The Last of Us Online is fucking crazy to me, dude. Like, that is fucking crazy. Like, these guys, like, I know that they, you know, Destiny's successful or whatever, but it was fucking them that killed my game. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Dude, if I worked at Naughty Dog, I would have been, if I was making that game, I would have been fucking livid, man. I would have been mad. And then, like, they didn't shut them down either. Like, I mean, they cut a lot of people, and that sucks. But, like, they got, not only did they, like, keep the company together, but they got to spin a portion of the company off into a new team with a new IP. And then Marathon gets to come out, and that gets to just be on other platforms, too. Bro, Bungie is like,
Yeah. The Bungie purchase was definitely impulsive, I feel like.
yeah, it was crazy. I mean, I remember at the time I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, I like Bungie enough. I think at that point I was like over Destiny, but like I was still like, okay, well, Bungie can still make a new space shooter game, and I'll play that as long as it's not like another fucking live service. But you know, I don't know. I don't know, man. That Bungie thing was a mistake. And I think like
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are really coming down on Jim Ryan right now because of all these like decisions to like do live service games. But I can't blame the guy. Like that really is a market that they hadn't touched, and everybody was doing it. Like every major publisher was looking to make some money on that. It made sense for Sony to want to too. It's just unfortunately Concord was a bad example. But I mean, dude, Helldivers came out and that's great. Like people love that game.
It's definitely and the thing is too, a lot of let me not like generalize like that, but from what I've seen most of the time online is that a lot of people like think that Sony's push for live service games is like a bad and stuff, but it may take away may take away from some of their single player stuff, but that's just literally not true.
Yeah, that's just not true.
That's just literally not true, and so that's why I'm like, for these, because like clearly like Sony wants to have like a like. I hate doing this all the time, but like kind of like with Splatoon, where Nintendo, like they have like within Nintendo they have like games that are kind of like the very like multiplayer-esque games. So like you got your Smash, you got Splatoon, and you have Mario Kart. These are like the three games that people who own a Switch and have like the online subscription are most likely playing. That's the reason why, and also Animal Crossing. That's the reason why for the expansion pass they have the DLC specifically for those games. Except for Smash. Smash isn't on there, but that's entirely different.
Yeah, and then like they still feed their single player. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, like and PlayStation wants to kind of just have their own like slate of like multiplayer games on their console. Like because like a lot of multiplayer, like popular multiplayer games on PlayStation, like it's not really like fully owned by PlayStation. They're clearly just trying to like have at least one or two like live service hits. Not something akin to like Fortnite, but I mean, at least I don't think it's going to be akin to Fortnite, but I think it's most likely going to be kind of like how Splatoon is on Switch, where it's just like it's very popular. If if you use your Switch, you would at least know that Splatoon is like fairly popular and it's a very popular like online multiplayer game. I think PlayStation wants to have something at least akin to that or something similar, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think they want. I think that they want to diversify the kinds of games they are making without going too far, I guess. Because I mean, like you said, the live service games aren't coming at the expense of single player. The only instance in which that is true is with Sony Bend, who they've got a lot of drama going on, but like they had pitched another Days Gone. That isn't happening, obviously. There were some rumors that they were doing, I think, a new Uncharted game, and then they just refused to do it or something like that. And then
I don't know what Bend is doing.
well, the report has been that Bend is working on a multiplayer game, and so like that's not. I mean, that's come. I mean, if you wanted a Days Gone 2, then you're not getting that. But I mean, they're not. It's not like you're not gonna get a new God of War, a new Last of Us, a new Uncharted, a new whatever. Like they're still going to make a new Ghost of Tsushima. Like they're still making all these other games, Death Stranding. Like they're still making other stuff. It's just they also want to have the other thing. Like Fair Games is being made by a brand new studio. You can't say that's taking away from a single player game. Concord was made by a new studio. Like, I think everyone is like, it's the usual online discourse thing where everyone wants to fearmonger about everything. Like, everyone wants to hate Sony now, even though they've had like a crazy good year. Like, dude, Helldivers. I mean, we talked about Stellar Blade, but Stellar Blade is still a good game.
Yeah, I think that game probably sold fairly well too, and it
did.
Like a lot of, yeah, and also Final Fantasy Rebirth, the one that you're playing right now,
yeah,
console exclusive,
yeah,
Silent Hill 2 coming out in October.
Yep, yeah. Until Dawn remake, The Last of Us remake, if you care about those, you know, like there's been plenty of fucking Astrobot, like. There's
yes, of course.
Yeah, like there's plenty of PlayStation exclusive content to be played right now. I think people are just upset because those mostly aren't first party games, and I get it. I mean, I am kind of at that point where I'm like, dude, where is like the new Sucker Punch game? Where's the new Naughty Dog game? But it's like I don't know. We're at this point where it's like all these games just take too long. Like, games just take a really long time. And I mean, that's a whole other discussion we could get into. But, you know, they'll be done when they're ready. I mean, next year we're most likely getting Death Stranding. I still believe next year we're going to get Ghost of Tsushima 2. And me personally,
I think so too.
I've always kind of thought that the best way to handle exclusives is to have two major games come out in the year. Like, one comes out in the fall or summer. Spring or summer, and then the other in the fall. And the rest be like second to third party exclusives. I'm fine with that. I even felt that way.
That's kind of what PlayStation, that's kind of what they've been doing, actually.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not during the PS5. We haven't had a lot of first party games come out on the PS5, but I mean, they did that during the PS4 and PS3 a lot. Yeah, for sure. Like, I don't know. It kind of is like, what I kind of get to the point where I'm like, what do you guys want? Like, everyone talks about there being no games to play, and it's like, dude, I mean, on top of old games that I haven't played yet, like, new games come out, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta add another one. Like, I'm playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth right now, but Metaphor comes out next month, and I'm like, shit, I don't know if I'm gonna finish. I don't know if I'm gonna finish this game in time. And then I also want to play Astro's Playroom before that. It's like, dude, I don't know if I have the time to play all these games within a year. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely know that feeling.
Yeah, I think people just like we've reached this weird point that for some reason I think like I think the players don't want to admit this to themselves, even though like what they're saying clearly says it, is like people generally speaking only really care about AAA games. And it's like when they say, oh, there's nothing to play, they're just talking about a big AAA release. And it's like, dude, just play a AA game. Play something else, like play an indie game.
Play some indies.
Yeah,
yes,
like
sir. Yes, sir, indies.
Why is it so hard for people to find games to play when there's just so many of them? It's crazy.
Plucky Squire comes out this month, by the way. Just letting you know.
Yeah, dude, like, am I gonna play? Like, that game looks awesome. Am I gonna play it right now? I'm not. I'm not gonna play that game right now. Yeah, it's.
There's a lot of good games coming out. Yes.
Yeah, that too, like you said, like a lot of good games, especially. Like, there are plenty of games coming out all the time, but there are so many like good to great games coming out every month, and it's like, dude, if you don't have anything to play right now, I don't know. Read about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah, you might want to find another hobby or something. I don't know.